G'day, punters. Welcome back to the Mailbag Preview Show, previewing day two of the championships up in Sydney. Just the two of us today. Jack, how are you, mate?
Very excited to be here, James. I love seeing your face. Miss Peters, but he's a very busy man and we couldn't get him today. We're going to rotate an array of guests through our little show as we move forward, but it's a big fat day's racing at Randwick.
It
Hopefully
is.
the gods shine upon the track and we don't have a debacle that we had last week.
Jeez, threw up something there. Plenty of rain this week up in Sydney. How's your week been anyway?
Week good. TV's good this week in the office. Missing you here too, by the way. But just Masters gold on
Masters.
relentlessly, just
Yep.
on one TV. Got a job done yesterday at Ballarat, back the first winner, and that was the only thing we did yesterday in the shed. I played one game of golf and done a bit of chipping and putting, so I'm like 1.5. Thought the line was probably 2.5 for this week, and trying to get out there to Savo. And tomorrow, pending the
And in
weather.
the weather, it doesn't look too promising, does it?
Yeah, but they said rain today. It doesn't look like it's happening yet, does it?
No, not yet. Not here anyway. All righty. Before we preview the four big Group 1s there up in Sydney, we'll just touch on Mailbag Bloodstock. A horse we mentioned last week, Savabeel, mind you, who is airborne at the moment. We've
Absolutely.
still got two shares left in our Savabeel filly trained by Bendigo. So as always, Jono at themailbag.com.au. But
Similar cross, James, to the good horses that won the Group Ones on Saturday. She's a 3/4 sister to Brambles, so she'll stay, and we can't wait to see her at the races. She'll be hopefully trialing this preparation, and who knows from there.
yeah, looking very nice. But more importantly, another one off Inglis, I believe you purchased during the week, Jack. Tell the
Unbelievable.
punters out, tell the punters out there a little bit about it.
Lazy Susan, like
Great name.
literally, great name. But most importantly, like right in our hitting zone of the idea of this whole business when I started it was like trying to find horses I wanted to back.
Yep.
This horse was the second fastest last 400 meters of the day on debut at a metro meeting.
Yep.
It jumped, pinged, should have led. She snicked J Car. It savaged home, leader kicked and leader won. It was a bet wherever it went next start. Now we own it. Really, really like pleasantly surprised we were able to get her. She's a 3-year-old filly out of a Schnitzel mare. She's by a capitalist, so she's got some value there already. We're going to have fun with her, though. Like, this is a really, really easy bet, and I can't believe we got her for what we did. If you want to race her with us, there's only a very small amount of shares left already. Jono, Jono, at themailbag.com.au. But there's some family in this horse. There's going to be most of the boys at the mailbag probably in this horse. It's exactly what we're trying to do as a business. And given the stupid prices they're paying for yearlings, you don't even know if they're any good. Very, very, very happy.
And that's our bread and butter, isn't it? Using the puntingform.com.au
Yep.
data and sort of just being really selective off these online digital sales.
Yeah.
And we've got a proven track record. So if you fancy getting in another tried one with the mailbag, Jono at themailbag.com.au. Now let's talk bets for the weekend. Four big Group 1s up at Randwick. As we mentioned off the top, not sure what the weather gods are going to do and what kind of track it will throw up. But any early thoughts there, Jack?
Aiming at a soft 7. That's
Yep.
what I've done. But prepared for a heavy, and we'll probably reference that a fair bit through the analysis of the runners in these races. I think it's important. I don't know if we clarified it last week, but I've clarified it on our content and our shows for 5 or 6 years. When it rains during a meeting, you need to really, really consider what you want to do. I will 9 times out of 10 just tools down, probably put the sound off on Sky or .com, whatever I'm watching, and turn the footy up now because it's winter. You need to be really, really careful continuing to bet off an analysis you've done of a normal meeting, and now that the dynamic has changed dramatically. If it rains during a meeting, be very, very careful. Look, you might have planned for it, and you're better than me if you know how to do that. But I just think you got to be really careful. So if we see rain sort of after 10 o'clock on Saturday, very, very, very careful.
But it is, it is why you sign up to the Mailbag app and get that last minute mail from the boys around the country, because they are updating and they are making changes as the day goes on. So, it'll be really important for Rob to have his eye on them up there on Saturday. So if you
Great,
aren't,
man.
sign up to the mailbag.com.au app and purchase Rob's set for Saturday. All righty, let's get into it. Race 6 at Randwick. The Star Australian Oaks over 2,400 metres. Let me just pull up the market here.
I'll roll through the map, James. Pravitra roll forward, Sole Choice. I think Premise to get a much better run than I got last week. Byron Bell, Mountain Guest thereabouts. Don't know what they do with Arts, that big flashy winner last week from barrier 10. Polygon, Fireburn, good runs. Pia Rossa, okay, I think. Jolted, Stormy Witness need to go back with So Dazzling, Phase, Angel, and Penny Winker.
So there's the map. Here's the market, brought to you by baggybet.com. A pretty strong favourite in Pravitra, $3.40. Penny Baker, $6.50. Fireburn, $6. And as you can see there, a couple highlighted in orange are two horses that the Baggy Bet will be top odds for. So Dazzling and Jolted. So if you do like them, come and have a bet. Who do you like here, Jack?
Well, the race all sort of links through Pavitra, all the horses that are coming out of last week's heavy track run on a 7-day backup. So there's a stack of horses here that have awful SPs versus Pavitra, who they come through the Prowess race, which that's a Kiwi horse that killed him. Pavitra started $3.40 that day. So the closest SP to that horse was Fireburn. There was $11. And now they're asking you to take $6.50 Fireburn versus $3.70 Pavitra.
But arguably, was Fireburn going better at the end there than Pavitra?
Yeah, definitely. But that's to the eye, right? And that's the way that they're going to lean you into. I'm going to always lean back to that SP.
Yeah.
I think Fireburn should be about a $7 chance here. I don't want to lay it necessarily, but I definitely think it's advantage Pavitra. The map horse gets every possible to the map. Probably the most well-credentialed horse in this race that we know of. Penny Winker's a really hard horse to handle, and you just sort of need to respect the Kiwi. It won a Group 1 last start over 2,400 metres, so it ticks a stack of boxes. The barrier is a little bit of a trick, but when it won last start, we talked about Sharp and Smart last week, and a few people were saying like I had every possible, I think, and that proved to be a bit of a truth. This horse had excuses last start. You can see in the steward's report, it was bumped through a fence, it was held up, and it still won. So I definitely will not be laying it. I don't want to back Pavitra, but I don't want to lay it. I'm going to keep those three, the first three, 1, 2, and 3 safe. The horse I think's a bet here, James, is number 10, Premise.
Yep.
$20 around on the 7-day backup, which I think's a huge, huge tick here. Started $9 last week versus Arts, $26. Now I'm getting $20 this horse, and I'm getting $7 Arts. Just makes no sense to me. There was excuses last start for Premise with the wide draw and the map and the way it was ridden. It will be none of that this week. It'll roll forward and get a really not has to roll forward, but it just does have to go back. It's going to get a cushy run from barrier 6. I think it should sort of be closer to sort of $12, $14, and I think it's a way to play this race. We know it gets through the ground okay, and we're hoping it's not as bad a ground as it was last week.
Yes, and you're getting a price, as you said. I'm happy to be with Fireburn. I'm not an SP man, so I don't take into consideration that.
Rule number 3, Jim, you do you.
Exactly right. And, stepping up from 1,500 to 2,000, not many horses can do it. Having another run at 2,000 metres, stepping up to 2,400 metres, it goes okay on the wet. And, I'm happy to take that $6, $7.
Do you think it'll drift or firm?
No, I think it'll drift. I personally think that obviously the favourite, they'll probably will firm a little bit, I think, which means, hopefully Fireburn does drift and I'll go again.
Yep.
All righty, moving on. Let's have a look at the Sydney Cup over 3,200 metres, race 7. And what's the speed map telling us here?
This is a guess. Knight's Order, King Frankel roll from 11 and 10. Nerve Not Verve thereabouts from 1. Probably gets crossed though. Someone wants to take it on, I reckon. Arapaho, Alakan, Sir Lucan from 14, and Gin Martini from 17. Like, do they Do they charge forward and try and cross and
Yep.
sort of like lead, or do they just pray to the gods and try and slot in somehow? I think Gaysource probably goes forward. I don't know what they do with Jid Martini. Stockman gets a good run. Timor gets a good run. Explosive Jack Surefire get good runs. True Marvel's okay. Gold Trip, I think, has to go back with Cleveland. Baron Samedi, very interesting runner here.
Yeah.
19, awful.
Sure,
I think
yeah.
you might get a little bit of a better price because of it. And it's never seen a heavy track or performed on one. So you're probably going to get a better price, but it's certainly that import with like the fresh import from the grouse stable that's probably going to be hard to beat. That the other horse I have is Cleveland, who all of the punting world saw last start and just had a little bit on, just in case. And then, oh, hang on, no, just a little run. And a lot of people would already just have backed it straight away when they knew it was going to Sydney Cup and getting no weight. And a lot of people would have been sick when it drew 16. What they do from there, I do not know, but it may not happen.
And look, we'll bring up the market and then have a touch. We'll touch on that. Cleveland, $3.70. The horse Jack mentioned earlier, Baron Samedi, $12, probably drifts. Gold Trip, the Melbourne Cup winner, $7.50, handles the going. And a couple of horses there. Surefire, $14 on the quick backup after getting through the slot last week. And a couple will take on Explosive Jack and Sir Lucan. Now, Cleveland, let's talk Cleveland. All those points you made before was me. Had a little bit on last start, backed it at the nines, $8.50, $5, even took some $3.50, which doesn't look too good now. But are we still getting a price because of the barrier? Because I genuinely thought it starts with the 2 in front of it in this field.
Yeah, I think the other horse that he has, the same trainer, Joseph O'Brien, Baron Samedi, is probably better than it, but it's got more weight. But they both just drawn tricky. I just
last start.
I'm not going to lay it. So it's $4 some places. I'm $3.70. I do not want to lay this horse. I think it's going to win. I just think it's going to need to be very, very good from that tricky draw. And then when the other thing that can graze me up is you got no weight, so you got Kieran. You don't have J-Mac. You got Kieran McAvoy from 16. He cops it a bit in the media, well, in the independent media. He's not afraid to have an opinion, but his record in like 200 meter Group 1 races is probably as good as anyone's or better. I don't know what they'll do. It's just a question mark. It might roll forward. Who knows? Like off the punting form, it's rolled forward before in other races over a trip. So I just
like 51 kilos, 3,200 meters in the wet's going to feel like 4,000. It's won over that distance nearly before overseas.
And it's 1 from 2 on a heavy track, James.
Yep.
So
yeah, look,
it was a 2.
Yeah, very interesting. I don't know what they do with the market, but what they come for Gold Trip maybe. It's already $7.50. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Surefire on the quick backup. As I said, I've backed it. I've continually kept backing it. I've got it going for the debt of a small African nation. So
how are you going to handle Baron Samedi? I'm not sure what I said about its wet track, but I meant to say that it's got really good wet track credentials.
Yep.
Like it's a pretty hard horse to knock.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was in your situation, I'd have something on already. Yeah. I think it's a 2-horse race. Like just focus on these exciting imports, which is what all the other horses sort of are. They're just like been here a bit longer. The draw's confusing, but it's rolled forward plenty of times in its career. So I'm just assuming it goes back, but I'm not confident it goes back. It's had 5 starts on a heavy track for 3 wins and a second.
Yep. And look, well, you're definitely talking me into having something on. Another one who I think I'll have something on the weekend is Stockman. Profiles well.
You've been talking to Scurry, haven't you?
Loves the heavy. Scurry is a big fan of Stockman. I just think sort of that $21 plus, in this field is, I'm happy to take some of that.
I think the market will be the big indicator late. Like if Cleveland's $4 to $5 and Baron starts with single figures, Baron Samedi will be winning.
Well, the market told us last start that Cleveland wasn't winning, and then Kieran's ride backed up the market there. So it could be one to watch late if there's a bit of market support.
But how short can it get?
Yeah, look, I don't know. I think the barrier to me is the only thing holding it back from starting with a 2 in front of it.
Oh, I thought some horses that like ticked a couple of boxes was Knight's Order. It just hasn't been flying this preparation, but we know it handles a heavy track. It's got a decent SP versus some of these. Like it started $11 in the Caulfield Cup. It's going to handle the wet ground. You can make a case for it for sure. Surefire had the complete PR last week, but it's on the 7-day backup and it's barrier 5. It's probably going to get PR again. Hard horse to knock. That's probably where I tap out with making reasons to sort of give anything local a hope. Well, they're not even that local, are they? But I just don't know where some of these other horses, like High Emotion on its day is capable. We know that, but barrier 18, leave me out of that.
Yeah.
And I thought the interesting horse that is in the market and the sheets found to an extent is King Frankel. Which grabbed me right up. But anyway,
yeah.
I'm going to back Cleveland and I'm going to back Baron Samedi.
There we go. Cleveland, both pretty keen
Baron.
on Cleveland.
I don't know why I keep calling it Baron. Like it's Baron Voster. I got the biggest shins racing in my head. Baron Samedi. I'm with it.
Baron Samedi and Cleveland for Jack and Cleveland, and a little bit of Stockman for myself. That's the Group 1 Sydney Cup out of the way. Let's move on to the big one. The Queen Elizabeth, 2,000 metres, weight for age. Animo, the champ. Well, first, let's have a look at the map, and then we'll talk horses.
Unicorn Line, I think, will lead. Numerian and Mwanga thereabouts. El Patroness, surely they show some intent today. Gear Up will get a good run, I think. He's a shocker, just rails and run, buried. Protagonist, maybe. I think Cascadian, Alan Quer, and Zayrek will be the last 3 in run. Now, Dubai Honor and Animo, 8 and 9 barriers with Montefilia 11. Get a lot of tactical shit going to go on at the start of this race. Where they get to, can Animo slot in front of Gear Up and sort of get a spot behind Mwanga? That'll change the race dramatically. We're looking at the way I analyze this race is that Animo has been not suited and overcome difficulty at its last couple. Dubai Honor was completely blessed in run last start, and if there's a chance Animo won't be here, but it's likely Dubai Honor won't get the same PR here, map-wise.
And let's have a look at the markets. We've got Dubai Honor just nudging Animo as favourite, 250, 260. And then really sort of Cascadian, $9.50 there with Baggy, Unicorn, Lion, $10. Now, obviously, to the eye, and a lot of punters out there that don't use puntingform.com.au, Dubai Honor was very, very impressive. Did the data back up that run?
No, it didn't. It's gotten horned up because it won a Group 1, so it gets a big tick on the ratings because it won a Group 1.
Yep.
To the punting form, they absolutely walked. They went very slow for the class to the 600, and he came home in elite sectionals, but he's a Group 1 horse, right?
Yeah.
But he's only run a figure of like negative 6.9 overall. So to put that in perspective, Mr. Brightside run a negative 14.4, winning the All-Star Mile, and then around a 12.2, I think, winning the Doncaster. So we're yet to see in Australia if this horse can hoon home off a brutal tempo.
Yep.
Now, there's no guarantee you're going to get a brutal tempo here on Saturday because it's a Sydney Group 1 race over 2,000 metres. So you can't stamp him, but do you really want to take him on? You'd have to be half stupid. Luckily, for everyone who bets at baggybet.com, I am half stupid, and I'm going to take it on just because it had a complete PR last start and Ryan Moore.
Yep.
Saturday, it's going to have Tommy Mark 1, and it goes from barrier 2, when it was rails and run advantage, to barrier 9, where we don't know what's going to be, but it's going to have to overcome Animo. The Japanese horse is the fascinating runner that's never ever seen a heavy track. So I think
I don't even think it's seen a soft track either.
It hasn't.
So
they don't have them.
Yeah.
They got like a big hairdryer, Scarra said, just rolls over the whole joint.
Yeah. I mean, that's to me, like he brings that sort of oversees that class to the race. And, you know, we've seen for years what these Japanese horses do when they come here to Australia. But yeah, He's not by a Japanese stallion. He's no name never. So there's maybe a little bit of a plus for not seeing a heavy. But like if he got on a better track, you definitely wouldn't be seeing double figure odds. But that's the big if there with Unicorn Lion.
My prediction, and it's complete guess, is the market will gravitate gently to Animo, but not severely, and it will soften on Dubai Honor. I think Animo will start favourite, and that's how I'll sort of protect our books. We're just going to be the market. Animo, I'm going to be slightly bigger Dubai Honor for the time being. But I think that there's too much focus on these two horses in this market at the moment when there's a lot of Group 1 decent horses throughout this race. Mwanga's going to get the complete PR and was back to knock off Dubai Honor last time they met. Fascinating horse. Numerian started $14 last start and was just beaten by Cascadian. Yep. Now you're getting probably relative the same sort of price. So Cascadian's going from $3 to $12. It's going from 14 to 50. But still a case for Numerian. We know it handles the heavy ground. We know it's going to be up there on the speed. Interesting runner. I think it's too big a price. El Patroness was as good a run or better than Cascadian in the Australian Cup. Was absolutely slaughtered.
What price were you on at again?
Over 100. I was like averaged about 106, and I still fucking filthy about it. Positives for the horse is P Maloney off, J Bowman on. Barrier 6 to barrier 2, complete and utter PR. If it's not heavy and rails chopped, but we saw the rail was a great place to be when it was heavy going last week. So it's a stupid price. It can win, but it could win a lot softer races. Like it can go back to mare's grade. I don't know what they're doing, to be honest. But the horse here, that's just the simplest, easiest. You just have to bet all day, every day. Is Cascadian. It swims. It comes through the grouse form line of the All-Star Mile, which is thrown up the Quinella exacta in the Doncaster.
Yep.
The form is just proper. It's had a 2,000 meter run to a 2,000 meter run on a potentially heavy track, whereas Animo goes 1,500 to 2,000. I wouldn't be surprised if Animo scratches on a heavy track because I think it's vulnerable here. And Dubai Honor has a 2,000 meter run to the 2,000 meter run, which might hold it up a little bit and give it a bit of strength in the market and justify running a good race. But Cascadian, I think, starts single figures. We're cuddling it already. We are single figures, and I don't want to lay it, and I've backed it, and I think it's going to run a huge race because it just can't be too far off them. I just think it's stupid.
And he never runs a bad race. You're always getting a sight for your money when you back
one from one track and trips. Had 4 goes 2,000 meters for 2 wins and a second. He's had 18 runs this track for 5 wins, a second and a third. Like he hasn't missed he's had 2 starts on a fern track for a first and a second. He's had 5 starts on a heavy track for 2 wins and a third. Like you'd love to own him. Beast of a horse, big price, flying, camp flying, melon flying. Just have a bet each way.
Cascadian for Jack, and I'm happy to be.
You are going to lose. Gamble responsibly, all that, but just.
And Unicorn Lion for me. I'm backing in the overseas form. Never seen it on a heavy. That's why I'm getting a price. Happy to be with it.
Can we have it? Let's have a bet too. We'll have a case of beer. My bet is that Unicorn Line will definitely have a unit on it, like a form of units on it from Rob Scurry for the Mounting Yard. Do you want that bet?
I'm happy to have that bet.
All right, case of beer.
Yeah, done.
But you're saying he won't have it in there?
I'm going to say they always present really well, those Japanese horses.
He loves the Japanese horses.
And he does.
The Japanese straights in better order than the Indian pitchers.
Let's have a case bet of beer on. I'll take Unicorn Lion, you take Cascadian, both around the same price. Whoever beats each one home, a case of beer.
Yeah, okay. I like that.
Done. All right, that was the Queen Elizabeth. Let's move on to the last Group 1 of the day is the Queen of the Turf over 1,600 metres. Let's take a look at the speed map.
God help us all here. Sorello Miss, Mirror Vision, Pride of Jenny, Fine Point, Purple Play, Hinge from 20. God, what do they do from there? That's the speed. Alcohol free, I think thereabouts. A Tissue's going to get a suck run from barrier 1. Exolita's the SP horse and the map horse here from barrier 6. It'll be thereabouts. Times Square statement. I think Levante, Roots, More Secrets, Promise of Success have to go back. Dynasties, Bring the Ransom, Fangirl will be last in run. Busy, chaotic map though, Jen.
Very much so. Let's take a look at the market, courtesy of baggybet.com. A very strong favourite that continued to back alcohol-free #1 at $3.20. We've got Fangirl, seems to run around every weekend at $9. Levante, I did see that Levante is getting sold at the Broodmare sale in Magic Millions in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
so
operator.
last time we'll
You're looking
see
at
her run around.
Adding it to the farm.
Oh, geez, I wish I had that much money. $7 in 16. Hope in your heart, $7.50. Cyrilea Miss, the interesting one in the market for me at $6. Pretty much sort of $21 plus the rest. We'll take on Pride of Jenny and Roots. But yeah, Cyrilea Miss, Jack, $6 coming up after 2 very impressive wins here in Victoria. What have you made of it?
There's a couple of bits of information that you're going to get between now and this race. So Cyrilea Miss was well backed, or no, it was not well backed. It was very soft at Moonee Valley.
Yeah.
And Barb Raider was back to beat it. And another horse, not Russian Revolution, that's the stallion, Revolutionary Miss. Now, Barb Raider and So You See come out of that race. They race in race 8, maybe at Sandown, which I think will run before this. And I don't think they're very well placed. So if they run good races in that race, that's a big tick for this horse who stays against her own sex. The other interesting fact here, like data point, form factor, SP sort of operation, is that 2 starts back, Cyrilea Miss started $12 versus Exolita maybe $5. And Exolita was 3 wide, no cover, and had excuses. Couldn't win sort of thing. And they boxed on and they finished off the race together. 2 starts later, I'm looking at $45 versus $6. Why is that? I think the value bet on this card at this point in time is Exolita. Brett Preble goes on. It had a trial at Rosehill between runs, so don't worry about the 25 days since last run. It's 1 start on a heavy for no result. If you dig through, that was at Caulfield. It's best behind Zapateo, who we favoured in the last race on this day, interestingly enough. It's performed well on soft tracks. It's performed well on good tracks. I don't think you need to overthink this at this price. It's a very, very easy bet to have in a very, very tough and confusing race.
Yeah. Very confusing race for me. A lot of that market percentage taken up by one we've never seen before. Although it did trial, I think alcohol-free. And then, I'm sort of potting Cyrilea Miss at the price. Talk to me about one that I'm pretty keen on, Jack, #8, a Tissue.
Well, it was enormous, absolutely enormous behind Roots. It started 650 there. It was race fastest, last everything. It was as big a last 600 meters as you've ever seen, or you will ever see. It's performed, but not dominated on heavy tracks. It's gone well on soft tracks. It's a horse that can sustain a prep, so potentially second up is a little bit soon for it, but it goes barrier 9 to barrier 1. Nash sticks. I think it can sort of be punched out and put close. This is a horse where, like Ballarat, a Ballarat listed race drawn barrier 5, it settled 6, and then Randwick in a Group 2 race drawn 17, it settled near last. So barriers are key to how Waller rides his horses. This thing's drawn inside. There's a couple of caveats here. If it's super heavy, I don't want it. And if it's rails and run, I want it bad. So I'd pivot towards this. It's a big price. I think we can add it to our little ticket here and have sort of it, an Exolita at good prices running for us in a wide open race. Alcohol free, I think they're making the decision for you with the price they've offered us from a punting point of view. There's no way I'm touching that with this track and that profile. You?
Nah, way too short. To be finding out, with a few question marks on it, sort of having to dive into 320. What are we, race 9 on the card? Who knows what this track will be throwing up by then. But it was a real tricky race for me. That's why I was pretty keen to to be with a tissue. First barrier one did grey me up a little bit, but like you mentioned, I like that they adapt with this horse on where it's drawn. And if it is rails in run, I'll be going again. But I was happy to have a 1x3 play at a tissue in a pretty difficult race with a couple of holes in the market, at the top of the market, in my opinion.
Potentially. Also, alcohol-free might steam in. We're completely wrong, piss in. So just pray for everyone who's with us, and good luck to you if you're not.
And well, that does it for the 4 Group 1s up in Sydney. We do have a card down in Sandown. Sometimes gets forgotten, or at least we're not at Bendigo this week. Back on God's carpet at Sandown. You have done the races, Jack. A couple for the punters out there.
First of a double header too. We're back there on Monday, Easter Monday. So you can watch the Cats and the Hawks and whatever the Rugby League game is, and you can also just have another go at Sandown. My best, race 7, number 3, Buffalo River. Love the trials, love the horse, love the map. Doesn't matter how wet it gets, it's going to be suited and hard to beat. You can back it each way if that's how you bet. You do you. Next best, race 6 to 7, Loco. Bit sick here. I backed this horse and cuddled it big time last start. I completely destroyed, annihilated, bashed up upon the SP and didn't get paid. But I think it's a nice horse and progressive, and I want to follow my money here. And the value for me, race 9, the 1, Blue Soldier, change of camp, love the trial, just trusting it's going to go forward and give us a really big shot at a price. I'm going to lay race 1, the 6, Foxicon. Just think it's vulnerable at that price. Same story, race 2, the 3, Kazoo. I'm just not a believer in it yet. And race 3, number 4, Lavazu. I'll be best price or near those 3 horses on Saturday. And then there's my best, James, at Randwick. Best, I'm with you, race 7, the 11, the 4, Cascadian. My value in the same race is El Patroness. I'm going to follow my money, pray for a drift. And, yeah, I guess so. But I can just sort of dig into the bigger hole I put myself in last time. But it's hard to dig a big hole at 100s, but you just got to sort of keep going if you believe.
It didn't even matter if you didn't like it. There would have to be a mental health bet on it after, that sort of sickening watch last start to win that fucking small fortune.
Yeah, it's fair. It's a very easy bet to have.
And my best.
Randwick, top odds, race 1, the 3, Tom Kitten. I think it's just going to get out the back and be sort of rattling home, but not near winning. Race 2, the 1, Hell I Am, and race 8, number 2, Jabai Honor.
And my best, for what it's worth, race 7, number 11, God Bless Cleveland. If it doesn't win, I'll probably be doing the show next week without a shirt. If it does, you won't see me for a month. The value, Unicorn Lion, getting double figures on a class international horse. And as we mentioned, in a tough Queen of the Turf, happy to be with a tissue 1x3. Anything else? Can you tip the punters into something sneaky for the Masters, Jack? We know you love it.
Yeah. Well, I'll quickly run through the bets.
Yep.
So we're having 3 types of bets at the Masters. We're going to have like proper full sends, like give it everything you got, big follow throughs, just hitting, just
big Bertha off the tee,
letting rip. Cam Smith, the Open champion, the live operator.
Getting what, 30s? 26?
Yeah. Have these bets elsewhere, please.
Yeah.
Hideki Matsuyama, past champion, 50 plus. Keith Mitchell, he's like our Ruffy full send. He's Christmas.
Never heard of him.
He wins. You won't see any of us for a long time. The half swing, so like just keep it in
the little hybrid off the tee.
Yeah. Sort of how you operate.
Yeah.
He's a big boy. If you're watching at home, like he doesn't need that sort of power. He's got it anyway. Justin Rose, John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, and Sung Jae Im, who's got the best hat in the world, and you can't buy it. I've tried my guts out to find it. Can't get it. And then sort of chop saves, Jordan Spieth, Dustin Johnson, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Max Homer. So
taking on who's favourite? So we've got Scotty and Rory.
I'm happy to say how I'll bet this. I would go to the Exchange, who once upon a time sponsored the show, the brand, the old brand, like the original brand, the Mailbag, and just build a book through those guys, and you can add to your book after each day's play and try and end up with Monday morning, most of those in contention, hopefully a neutral or a big fat result for you. But it's the greatest coverage of sport there is.
Yeah.
It's just all day Get up early, watch it. There'll be groups. There's probably going to be a few channels if you've got Foxtel. You can just tag Tiger around for 18. It's the best.
Well, there we had it. A few Masters bets for Group 1s in Sydney. A few bets for you to have at Sandown. Any final thoughts for the punters for this weekend, Jack?
Lazy Susan is an outstanding starting point for you guys to race a horse mailbag bloodstock. I absolutely love her. She's a 3-year-old filly with genuine upside. I'd love you to come and get involved and race a horse with James and I and the boys, and Gavin, Jesus, Bedgood, Jono, Jono at themailbag.com.au. Have a phenomenal weekend. Remember, if it rains at Randwick, maybe tools down.
And just like to thank our sponsors, as always, puntingform.com.au. All the data Jack spoke about today, brought to you by the boys at Puntingform, baggybet.com. If you don't, download the app, but always gamble responsibly. And please remember, you win some, but you lose more. Have a good weekend. Bye for now.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.